Okay, so students, this is SJF, shortest job first. Okay, means the process which needs the smallest time of CPU. Okay, so all of you know that the execution is taking place in CPU, and the process which needs the smallest CPU time is selected for execution. Okay, means the process which has the smallest burst time will be selected first for execution, because the smallest jobs completes are faster. Okay, and hence it is taken for execution. Fine. So here there are two types of SJF scheduling algorithm. Non-preemptive. Non-preemptive means what? Once the program, so P1 program is selected for execution, once the program is selected, it runs until it completes. Okay, it runs until it completes. So as I have told in this problems here, in this particular syllabus, we are not considering any interrupt or IO request coming. Okay, so for this process P1, which we are solving the problems now, there is no any interrupt or IO request. Okay, so the process, once it is assigned to the processor in non-preemptive SJF, it executes until completion. Okay, any process which is selected, it executes until completion. That is non-preemptive. Next method of execution, next method of problem the algorithm is preemptive SJF. Okay, preemptive SJF, very important algorithm. It is also called as SRTF. Okay, shortest remaining time first. What is the shortest remaining time first is, okay, now suppose P1, P2, P3, three programs are there. It shortest of this, suppose these are the burst times. Okay, this is the burst time, and all the process have arrived. Now the smallest job, P3 has the shortest burst time, suppose 2 milliseconds, this is fine, and this is 10. P3 will be selected first. Okay, so P3 is selected to the processor to execute. What we are seeing is preemptive SJF, okay, or SRTF. So P3 is selected. Now suppose process P4 comes, which has the burst time of 0.5 or 1, okay, which is shorter. Okay, so when it is a shorter process, the currently executing process is taken out, and the new process will be added to the schedule processor. Okay, we'll see non-preemptive later. Fine, sorry, preemptive later, preemptive execution algorithm later. Now we'll see the problems with respect to non-preemptive. Non-preemptive means what? When the program is added to the processor, it runs until completion. How the selection is done? The process which has the shortest burst time. Now out of the shortest is to the P3 process. So P3 is assigned and it runs until completion. Whatever jobs come in between, after some time, it arrives late or anything, no problem. Okay, any other new process arrives late, no problem. Out of the existing ones, whichever is the shortest, that process will be taken first. Okay, and it executes until completion. That is non-preemptive SJF. Clear? So we'll see non-preemptive SJF first. So non-preemptive, smallest available process is taken, smallest whichever needs the smallest CPU time is taken, and it executes until completion. Okay, that is non-preemptive SJF. Now for this problem, arrival time is not given. When arrival time is not given, okay, when arrival time is not given, we assume that the processes have come in this particular order. That is P1 has come first, P2 and then P3. Okay, arrival time is not given. And so which process will be taken first? All process P1, P2, P3 has come at the same time. Okay, which has the shortest burst time? Both P2 and P3 has the same small burst time. It needs less number of CPU burst time. The time required of CPU is the same, 4 milliseconds. Okay, there is a tie over here. So whenever there is a tie, we take the FCFS, that is whichever has come first, that is taken first. So which process have come first? P2 has come first and then P3 has arrived. Okay, remember, as I told in FCFS, all process have come at 0th millisecond itself. Okay, 0th millisecond itself, but it has come in an order. P1 process have come first and then P2 has come and then P3 has come at the same time. Okay, all have come at the 0th millisecond itself. So P2 has come first. Whenever there is a tie, check for FCFS, which has come first. Okay, so P2 has come. P2 will be selected to the chart first. As I told yesterday, just draw the chart like this. Don't draw the right side boundary because you don't know how till how long it will proceed. Okay, so just draw the chart like this. Don't write the right side boundary. Fine. So P2, the time required is 4 milliseconds. P2 is put in the processor. Okay, as I told, this is the Gantt chart shows the CPU time. Okay, CPU time is 0th millisecond now. All the process have arrived at 0th millisecond itself. Fine. P2 is selected first because it is the shortest job and it has come first. Then P3. Okay. So P2 is in the processor and it is not in the ready queue. Okay, it is not in the ready queue now and it needs 4 milliseconds. This is non-preemptive SJF. Once the program is selected, it runs until completion. Okay, so complete 4 millisecond is taken and P2 executes. Next process which is taken, okay, so P2 has completed the execution. Next process which will be taken, next shortest job yavudide, it is P1. Okay, P3. P3 executes. Okay, it is not present in ready queue now. Fine, not available in ready queue. It is in the processor and it needs 4 milliseconds. So plus 4, now it is 8 milliseconds of CPU. Total 8 milliseconds aito. Fine. And P3 also has completed the execution. Only one process remaining in the ready queue is P1. Okay. So P1 executes. It needs 27 milliseconds to complete its execution. So plus 27 milliseconds. The total time now is 35. Okay, so students, you can check this final value in any of the algorithm. The total burst time, okay, total of this will be the final value what you get here. Okay, you can cross check that also. Once you finish drawing this Gantt chart, complete it, you can cross check whether you're getting the summation value here finally in the Gantt chart. Okay, so next find the turnaround time. As I told, turnaround time is the time what is seen in the Gantt chart minus arrival time. Okay, so P1 completes at 35 minus arrival time. Arrival time is 0 for all these processes what is given in this problem. Okay, so arrival time is 0 and the turnaround time is 35 for P1. P2 has completed at 4 milliseconds. So 4 minus 0 is 4 is the turnaround time for P2. And similarly, P3 completes at 8. Okay, 8 minus 4, 8 minus 0, sorry, arrival time. And it is the 8 is the turnaround time. Okay, this is the actual turnaround time of the processes. Now waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. Okay, so it gives, as I told yesterday, this is the total turnaround time is the total time for which the program was in the processing state, which consists of waiting time and burst time, CPU burst time. Okay, CPU burst time means time required, time of the process needs this BT time to be in the processor to complete its execution. Okay, now waiting time is for P1 is 35 minus 27, so 8 milliseconds it has waited. Similarly, P2 it is 4 minus 4, 0, and P3 it is 8 minus burst time 4. Okay, and it is 4. Now the average, you should find the average turnaround time and average waiting time. Okay, so average turnaround time okay, average turnaround time is 15.66 milliseconds and average waiting time is 4 milliseconds. Okay, whoever are doing it, hope you have got the same answer. Next, we'll see one more problem and check. If you have any doubt, you can ask me after seeing this problem. Okay, here arrival time is given. Now we are doing same non-preemptive SJF. Okay, once the program is selected, it does not, it completes the execution. It is not taken out of the processor. Okay, so it completes the execution, and then only the next program is selected. Fine. So these are the arrival time. So at 0th millisecond, only P1 has come. No other process have come. Now this is non-preemptive SJF. So only one process is there in the ready queue. What does the scheduler do? Select P1. Okay, for the execution. P1 is selected for execution. No other processes there at 0th millisecond, so only P1 is there. P1 is selected. Okay, this is non-preemptive SJF, so the program runs until completion. Fine, it executes for complete 10 milliseconds. Fine, so the program completes the execution. Meanwhile, when it is completing the execution, at 3 milliseconds, when it is 3 milliseconds, P2 and P3 has arrived. Okay, and at 5 milliseconds, P4 program also has arrived. Okay, but even though it has the smaller burst times, it doesn't matter because we are doing non-preemptive SJF. Once the program is selected, it runs until completion. And then only I check if any other new program has come. Okay, so now the complete execution is 10 milliseconds. The CPU time is 10 milliseconds. Okay, P1 has completed the execution. All these programs have come and it is in the ready queue. Now, which is the shortest job out of all this? The shortest job, which needs the shortest CPU time, is P4. Okay, so P4 is selected first. P4 is not in the ready queue now. It is in the processor. Okay, how much time does the P4 program need of CPU? It needs 4 milliseconds of CPU. Okay, to complete the execution. So 14 millisecond and it completes the P4 execution. Fine. Next program. So P1 and P4 is completed. Out of P2 and P3, which is existing, which is the shortest job, which has the shortest burst time? It is P2 program. Correct. So P2 is selected next. P2 is not in ready queue now. P2 needs 5 milliseconds to complete the execution. So 5 milliseconds. Okay. and after 5 milliseconds P2 completes the execution, and execution time is 19. Okay, P2 also completes, P3 is selected, okay, and P3 also completes, so plus 6, and it is 25 milliseconds. Okay, next, turnaround time. As I have told, the actual time for which the program was in the processing state is turnaround time. Okay, see the time when the programs have completed the execution. P1 at 10 milliseconds completed, P2 at 19 milliseconds, okay, and so on in the Gantt chart. This shows the CPU time, okay, at which it has completed. Fine. So some programs have arrived late, so actual time when it has completed minus arrival time gives the actual turnaround time. Fine. So 10 minus 0 is 10. Now P2 completes at 19 milliseconds. So 19 minus 3. Okay, as I told yesterday, P2 has arrived late. Here at 3 milliseconds, P2 has arrived, P2 and P3. Okay, P2 was not in the processing state from 0th millisecond itself. It was in the processing state, this minus 3, and from here till the 19 milliseconds. Okay, and so minus 3 has to be done. Fine. As I told yesterday, few students had not come, that's why I'm repeating. Okay, arrival time, few students may come late to the class. Instead of coming at 9 o'clock, okay, they may come at 9:20 a.m. means 20 minutes late they are. Okay, so the total time for which the student was in the class is when the class finishes, and then minus 20, because 20 minutes they were not within the class. Okay, so minus arrival time. Fine. Next, P3 process completes at 25 milliseconds. So 25 minus 3, it is 22. And P4 completes at 14 milliseconds. So 14 minus arrival time 5, that is 9. Okay, similarly, waiting time is actual turnaround time minus burst time. So you get the waiting time and then calculate the average turnaround time and average waiting time. Okay, average turnaround time is the summation of this, divide by 4. 4 processes are there, hence divide by 4. And average waiting time is summation of waiting times, okay, divide by 4. Fine. So this is non-preemptive scheduling. Okay, one more problem I will show.